He is the CEO of Ignition Media, and that, I'm going to say, Dennis, is probably an umbrella for a million things that you're doing.
That might be a slight exaggeration, but good afternoon to everyone.
Welcome so much. We also have Dr. Robert Dunne, who is the medical director for the city of Detroit and who has been providing for us expert guidance as it relates to the health aspects of our return back to, I don't know, some semblance of normalcy, we'll say. But Dr. Dunne, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Stephen. It's great to be here.
And last, but of course, never least, is my good friend, Charity Dean. Charity is the director of the City of Detroit Civil Rights, Inclusion, and Opportunity Department, better known as CREO. Charity, welcome this afternoon.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
All right. And I do believe that as I'm going through the introductions,
there she is.
The Council President is signing in on the line.
Good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon to everyone. Can you all hear me okay? Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Smiling faces, but I don't hear no happy voices. And I'm happy to be living today. I am happy to be living today based on everything that is going on with COVID-19 and all of the information that I have gotten on people that I knew and that I loved, and they are no longer here with us. And so it's just always a delight to see some smiling faces and to hear some voices of people that I know, people that are helping the city, people that are doing business in the city, and people that I love, and people that are working in the city, like Charity Dean, who's given it all that she has. So it's always a joy to see you guys and to be able to hear you and to know that you are still here amongst the living. And good to see you, Dr. Robert Dunne. Good to see you as well. And Carla Walker-Miller with that smile that lights up the room. And Dennis Archer Jr., the man that can touch anything and make it turn into gold.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It's just always a delight to see you all. And thank you for joining us today as we are preparing today to reopen tomorrow. And for those that did not know, I am your Detroit City Council President, and some call me the Citizen's Voice. And so it's just really good to be here for this roundtable discussion today. May is designated, as we all know, as Small Business Awareness Month to honor the close to 30 million, and let me say that again, 30 million United States small businesses, and to honor the amazing people who run those small businesses. And we say thank you to those amazing people because we know if there's over 30 million small businesses, we know that there's more small businesses than there are corporations. And so we say thank you to those people. That includes you all and members of our panel, because I know we have people on the phone or on Facebook who also might be small business owners as well. We have an excellent group of guests who will give professional firsthand insight into operating a business during the COVID-19 pandemic and preparing to reopen in what we will call the new normal. That involves masks and social distancing. I have my mask right here, you guys. And I keep them in the car as well. And when I see someone who don't have a mask, I am the first person to say, can I give you a mask? Will you please wear a mask? So today we are joined by Carla Walker-Miller, the founder and the CEO of Walker-Miller Energy Services. We are joined by Dennis Archer Jr., the CEO of the Ignition Media. And we are also joined by Dr. Robert Dunne, the medical director for the city of Detroit, and the always awesome Charity Dean, the director of the city's Civil Rights, Inclusion, and Opportunity Division. For those of you who are listening on the phone, and we are live at Facebook at www.facebook.com/Brenda Jones. If you'd like to see our guests, nothing like seeing them and hearing them. So if you'd like to see our guests, you can join us on Facebook. Also, let me just say that it is no big secret that I am a strong and vocal advocate for Detroit's small businesses. I truly believe that they are the backbone of our city. This is why in late March, at the beginning of the pandemic, my city council colleagues and I unanimously passed a resolution that I requested to amend the Casino Development Fund to create the Small Business COVID-19 Relief Fund. This was done to assist Detroit's small businesses, which was going to be severely impacted by the COVID-19. At the time, there was about $33 million in the Casino Development Fund. As of today, over 120 businesses have received individual grants up to $10,000 to help cover their rent, to help pay employees, or to pay any other related business expenses. Now, that's looking backwards. Today, we're here to look forward and prepare to reopen for businesses tomorrow. Studies have shown that small businesses are good for local economics, and according to the U.S. Small Business Administration, small businesses generated 44%. Again, I'm gonna say 44% of the United States economic activity in the last decade. I recently read that locally owned businesses have the most positive economic impact on communities. If Detroit is to rebound from COVID-19 economic downturn, then guess what? It will be small businesses that bring us back. It will be small businesses that help create the jobs. It will be small businesses that improve innovation at the local level. It will be small businesses that provide opportunities for women like Carla Walker-Miller and for minorities to become their own boss. It will be small businesses that support the large businesses with services. It will be businesses like Walker-Miller Energy Services that do all these things. As we begin our discussion on preparing businesses to reopen, again, I am pleased to introduce Carla Walker-Miller, the founder and the CEO of Walker-Miller Energy Services. Now, on December 21st, 2017, Forbes ran an article entitled, "How Carla Walker-Miller Survived Corporate Life and a Startup Crash." A year later, on March 25th, 2018, the Free Press profiled Carla with the backstory of a Black female entrepreneur rugged path to profit. The following year, on April 25th, 2019, Cranes told the story of how Carla Walker-Miller purchased the building and opened her company's headquarters in the New Center area. Well, here today, on May 28th, 2020, when Carla should be planning her company's big 20th anniversary party. Is that right, Cole?
That is right.
The 20th year anniversary party. I'm believing there'll be an article before the end of this year about just that, because Walker-Miller Energy Services is resilient like its CEO. The impact of COVID-19 on her businesses may have slowed Carla down, but it did not sit her down. So good afternoon, Carla.
Good afternoon, Council President. I didn't know I was coming to church today. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Let me say Walker-Miller is an example of a company that will survive the impact of COVID-19 on businesses' operations. So, Ms. Miller, you experienced setbacks during the last economic downturn. What lessons have you learned then that helped this time?
You know, the lessons of the recession were so painful and so real, but I thank God that those are the lessons that are helping me to navigate this crisis. I have a saying that I didn't make up, but it's when you go through something difficult, lose the pain and keep the lesson. And the primary lesson I learned during the recession, I didn't have relationships. I've spent so much time since then developing relationships with partners, with great team members, with banks, with other business people. And those are the very relationships that are helping us to survive and positioning us to be a better company after this ends.
All right. And so what advice would you give to other small business owners who's taken advantage of every opportunity and resources assistance offered, but have not received any financial help?
It's this is the most robust ecosystem we have ever had for receiving financial support. So my best piece of advice is to consult your colleagues. We're all scrambling right now to maximize our support, to identify resources that are out there. And I have to give props to the city of Detroit because this city's response to this crisis for the small business community has been phenomenal. There are so many resources there from what you've done, Council President, the Mayor, Charity Dean is the Energizer Bunny. There's so many hands on deck making sure that we come out of this as well as we can, but use the tribe. If you don't have relationships, everyone is so open and so humbled and so passionate about helping. So reach out to the entrepreneurial community, even if you have never done that before. Reach out to the banking community. Take advantage of the resources. I would feel very comfortable saying every single small business in this community, in the city, should have access to capital with the resources that exist right now. I'm very comfortable saying that.
Okay, all right. And what role do you see small businesses playing in economic resilience of Detroit post-COVID-19?
I see them playing every possible position on the field in the recovery. As you said, small businesses are the engine of the economy. Small businesses and Detroit-based businesses actually hire Detroiters. You're much more likely to hire someone from Detroit if you're a small business. If you're a business of color, you are much more likely to hire people of color. However you identify, you are much more likely to cultivate relationships and provide jobs in the communities from which you hail. So we are going to be the backbone. I'm praying that small businesses will also participate in all the money that is being spent to solve these issues. And I know that the city of Detroit is trying to work, and so many other entities in the business ecosystem are working really hard to make sure that small businesses are not just recipients of the funds that are there, but are recipients and providers of the solutions that are required.
Okay, all right, thank you. And so finally, let me just ask you your opinion. How do you envision the new normal from a business perspective?
I can't separate the business from the personal. Every single person in Detroit and so many people in this country, we are going to continue to operate. We're going to continue to survive. We're going to even thrive, but we are the walking wounded. We are hurting. What's in my soul right now, I can't even describe as we fight back. Detroit was on such a wonderful trajectory before this, and we will be again. And I am persuaded, I'm convinced, I am excited about the opportunity we have to continue to lift each other up, to continue to look inward in our souls and our spirits, but in our communities for the solutions that we have within us. I am excited about what the city's creating and what we are creating just as a business ecosystem.
All right, all right. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for being here with us this day. And congratulations again on 20-year business in the city. And I look forward to presenting you with a testimonial resolution later this year in the new norm.
Council President, thank you so much for your kindness. This is, I appreciate you and everything you and your staff do.
Thank you, and thank you again for just joining us this day. So our next guest is none other than Dennis Archer Jr. And Dennis Archer Jr. is the CEO of his own media group. It's just not just has a media group, you also have Central Kitchen Bar. And you'll soon be breaking ground on a new Myers affiliated grocery store in Lafayette Park. And I'm waiting on that. I am truly waiting on that myself. I might be the first person in there to purchase something.
Absolutely.
Because I'm definitely waiting on that. And I just want to thank you for continuing to stand strong in the city of Detroit. I look up and there's Dennis Archer Jr. with that smile on his face, handling business and talking to people. It's just exciting to know that Dennis Archer Jr. chose to be in the city of Detroit. It is truly exciting and it's truly a good thing. And so I want to say welcome to you again. Thank you for doing everything that you do in the city of Detroit during COVID-19 and even before COVID-19 and everything you're going to continue to do post-COVID-19. You all really give me the energy and the inspiration to want to continue to do what I do in the city and to continue to help people. It's just the inspiration and the energy that you all have that just gives me that energy to, no matter what happens, to say, keep it moving, keep it pushing. You have people like Dennis Archer Jr. and Carla Walker-Miller that's out there doing what they do. And I just want to say again, thank you. So let me ask you just a question. Should we take this new development to mean that you still see Detroit as doing good business investment? And why?
Well, yes. I will continue to double, triple, and quadruple down on the city of Detroit. And outside of it being a passion and me being, in my opinion, one of our city's largest cheerleaders alongside you, Council President, it makes good business sense. If you want to take the grocery store that we will be breaking ground on this summer, 42,000 square foot Meyer operated grocery store in East Jefferson. it's great for the neighborhood, but it's great for the city. I mean, if you live in the suburbs, you've got 4 or 5 options of national grocers. You've got options in that same geography for small business, independent-owned retailers. You've got a multitude of options. Detroiters are owed the same and deserve the same. And so we are simply trying to satisfy a need for our neighborhoods, as we did at Grand River and McNichols with the first Meijer that we developed. We're trying to bring the same thing in a smaller format to the city. I think that I'm very bullish on the city. We have, obviously, our Paradise Valley project is underway as well. Neither that project nor the East Jefferson Rivertown Market could be successful without the strong support of the city, to include Charity and the other folks in the administration and you all as city council. Detroit has been very resilient. I think you used that word in talking about Carla. And Carla, happy 20th anniversary to your company. If you look at us coming out of bankruptcy and going through receivership, what allowed us to be successful then is what continued our path of success. It's allowing us to get through this COVID-19 thing, which will ultimately, historically, it will be said that we did so successfully. And it's going to allow us to continue on this positive path forward. And that is an alignment of all of the necessary stakeholders, the elected officials, philanthropy, business folk and entrepreneurs, and the people in the neighborhoods, the citizens outside of the 7.2 square mile greater downtown area that people often refer to. Everyone is aligned with what the city needs to do collectively to move forward. And under your leadership and Mayor Duggan's leadership and various and numerous organizations like the Chamber that Carla and I happen to sit on the board of, Detroit Regional Chamber, collectively we're working together to move the city forward. You're seeing the same sort of corporate and philanthropic and civic support and rallying now that you saw in bankruptcy when you had Roger Penske and others were buying police cars for us and ambulances because we couldn't afford them. Fast forward to now, people are buying notebooks for City of Detroit public school students, PPP equipment for frontline workers. We are rallying once again. And so, we may hit a roadblock, we may take a detour down a road we were not expecting, but Detroit will be back on path. Detroit will move forward. Detroit will continue our path towards greatness.
All right. And so let me move to your restaurant that really has good food, and that it is downtown. And so right now, we know that many downtown office workers have been working remotely from home during this pandemic. Do you think this will continue even once our offices reopen?
So it's a very interesting question. So when we look at when we will open, and Charity, I don't know if you can confirm or deny, but I got a text that said Detroit restaurants will be able to open next week. I don't know if that's true or not. But whenever we are able to open, and I think that would probably be premature if that was the case, our kind of formula of considerations are, 1, the governor has to say it's legal. 2, our staff has to feel comfortable in coming into work. 3, we have to make our guests extraordinarily comfortable in our protocols and with the restaurant. But equally as important, which people outside of industry folk don't really speak to or understand, is, and I think you're touching on it, Council President, even if my folks are comfortable coming to work, even if guests that are downtown want to come, and this is all assuming that the governor said restaurants can open in southeastern Michigan, whichever of the 6 districts this is on her map. If the companies aren't downtown, there's nobody coming into the restaurant. And so, for instance, Bedrock announced today they have, I think, 170 retailers and 125 restaurants, some huge number, that they've announced that from July through December, they're going to not charge any rent, but they're going to they'll take 7% off of your gross in lieu of rent. That's great news. But what I'd also like to hear from Bedrock is, and from the family of companies, when are you coming back to work? Are you phasing in next month? Is it the end of the year? Because remember, we are already not going to have any games of any sports this year where fans can go. There's no concerts. Major festivals are being canceled. And so all of that ancillary business that's additive, but everyone counts in our P&L, that we know that's gone. And so now we have to depend upon the workers that are downtown, people that are coming down for the weekend. And that's just hard to predict. And so we just had an hour-and-a-half call this morning with our ownership and management of the restaurant, putting together what our plans look like, kind of like from, we hear that we're going to be able, we can open, so that starts a 3 or 4 week clock, and then we roll into our plan. So if the governor said we could open on June 15th, we may make a decision with all those other considerations that July 15th is better for us, because that's when more people will be downtown working. Because the last thing that anyone wants to do is open a business up and then not have the traffic and then have to take drastic measures after that. And so we're being very patient. We run our business very fiscally conservatively. And so we're in a position where we can wait a little bit longer to see what happens. But we've got some great things planned. We'll be opening around our 6-year anniversary. So we're really going to create a celebration around a grand reopening, so to speak. This will be no different than when we opened 6 years ago in terms of the excitement and celebration when we open back up, because we're really excited to see all of you all back in the restaurant.
Well, I just want to tell everyone, if you have not been in the restaurant, I can't begin to tell you what you are missing, because they have some awesome food, And if you haven't been there and you go there, I guarantee you it will not be the last time. Might be your first time, but I guarantee you it will not be the last time that you will go to the restaurant.
Thank you.
Up to you, Dennis, also in January of this year, you did an interview and you said that in 10 years, investment will blossom in neighborhoods like it has downtown. Of course, that was before this pandemic and COVID-19. Do you still think the new neighborhood investment could eventually happen as existing neighborhood businesses like the ones on Livernois try to regain their pre-COVID-19 success?
So the short answer to your question is yes. And the reason is simply a fundamental of simple economics of the supply and demand. And so there are a ton of restaurants downtown, a ton of businesses downtown, a ton of service-oriented businesses downtown. But a lot of the neighborhoods, Detroit is 139 square miles, and there are some pockets of Detroit that are seeing more development than others. But the neighborhoods, they all want the same thing. When Maurice Cox was here, he introduced, I think it was a 15-minute neighborhood where, somebody should be able to walk to get all of their required services, whether it's dry cleaning, groceries, a bank, etc. And so there is still huge opportunity. A lot of entrepreneurs will get priced out of downtown. Years ago, before Dan Gilbert started buying and started moving down here in 2010, there was probably maybe till 2012, maybe 13, the ability to get a steal on property in the greater downtown area. Then maybe for 2 or 3 years, there were deals to be had. Ever since the deals went away, now it's market price and or building owners having fairy tale images of what their properties are worth. And so things are not trading because of that. And so a small entrepreneur like myself, who may not be able to bid on a 20-story building, I could put together some partners and I could go into the neighborhood and do a very nice development. That's what we did with the 27 acres at Grand River and McNichols. And so, yes, I think neighborhood development is still viable. Yes, I think you will see it coming. And I think it will continue to come. There are people, if you look at the Bartell family on Livernois and what they've done over there, if you've look at over in the Villages with the investment over there, which Mr. Brown he did his apartment building over there, the Cove, which is phenomenal. If you look at what happened in Courttown with the Coolies, starting that off. I mean, what it's going to take, Council President, I think, is a Dan Gilbert of the neighborhood, and the Bartell family is a good example of that. They got retail, they got restaurant, they have other things coming. You know, I call Rufus the mayor of Livernois, because everything that's going on is there. Anybody wants to go do anything in that neighborhood, they got to go sit with Rufus first. And I think that it will take a Rufus Bartell in other pockets around the city to take a leadership role. And then I think it's incumbent upon the city to do its part, which they have been, to help facilitate that. And then the banking community has to step up and loan in those communities. It took a long time for the larger banks to get comfortable in doing deals with smaller business people and developers in Detroit. And I think this COVID situation has slowed that down a little bit, because banks are now holding back to see what their portfolio looks like and how it's going to perform over the next few months. Mm-hmm. But when that opens back up, one thing that I've been talking to Charity about, and they've been helpful, is encouraging these banks to lend with small business and in the neighborhoods. And so I think it's a great opportunity. So if there are any small business people viewing or watching on Facebook, I would encourage you to look in your own neighborhoods and see what's needed there, and then try to make it happen.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so in that same interview, you said the same thing I say. You don't use the word comeback when referring to Detroit. You prefer the word evolved. How do you see small businesses helping the economy of Detroit to evolve once they reopen?
Well, I mean, first of all, yeah. So the reason that I say that is, I'm sure the same reason you say, that Detroit hadn't gone anywhere. And, you know, you get a lot of outsiders and new entrants into the market, you know, that are here helping us come back. We ain't been anywhere. So no, I don't use that word. Mm-hmm. We're going through a constant evolution. There's no different than your stock portfolio. It's no different than the ebb and flow of the mortgage on your home. Mm-hmm. Cities are no different. They have ebbs and flows. New York, DC, Chicago, Miami, LA, they all have them. We've gone through ours. The role that small business will play, Charity probably can cite to you the statistics better than I can, but the majority of job creation starts with small business. One of you mentioned earlier, I think it was Carla, that people of color and then people located in cities are more likely to hire people that look like them, more likely to hire people from the neighborhood. And so the more that we can help foster small business investment, and it's not just getting them up and running, it's then supporting them so they can stay up and running. Because a lot of times people can hurry up, rush, get open, but then there's no sustainability. So programmatically, and whatever we can do just from a support standpoint, whether it's shopping with them, hiring them as your dentist or your lawyer or your accountant, but supporting these businesses is very important. And those are the people that are also going to go look to be in the neighborhood. So it's you know, if you 360 degrees, if you look at that circle, you know, that's who's hiring the people from the community. That's who's going to look to go invest in the neighborhoods, because it's probably more within their risk parameters. And it's just going to grow. And then if we support those people, they become the larger businesses. Carla, I'm sure, didn't start out the same size. She wasn't the same size 20 years ago as she is today. But that growth happened over that 20-year period. So we have to make sure that that occurs.
Thank you so much for that. You know, I agree with you 100%. I had a small business, I had a women's shoe store downtown Detroit, and I, you know, could see everything happening in downtown, and I tell this story all the time. People would say, why don't you move your business to the malls? And, look at the malls now. So, downtown is where everything is happening. But then what I also say to people who say, I can't find a location downtown, I tried to get a location downtown, is guess what? It's more neighborhoods and it's more communities, if you look at the square mileage, than it is downtown. And so why not do something in the neighborhoods? And I remember as I was growing up, I would do the neighborhoods. I grew up in the 7 Mile, Illinois area. I would go to the businesses in the neighborhood, but also I look forward to, and I know you guys are too young to remember what they call 3D days, downtown Detroit days. I know you don't remember that, but I would look forward to downtown Detroit days as well, to come downtown and also to go to the movie theaters downtown. And then there was the movie theater, there was the Mercury Theater in the neighborhoods. And so I look forward to both having the neighborhood to do what I needed to do, as well as coming downtown to be able to do what I needed to do. So I thank both of you for everything that you do throughout the city. And so now, if we have anyone with any questions, the only thing you have to do is press *9, and that will give you an opportunity to ask your question individually of Carla and or of Dennis. If you press *9, that will raise your hand if you are on the phone. And if you are on Facebook, if you just type in your question for either Carla or Dennis or both, we will be happy to have them respond to your question. And while we are waiting, is there anything either of you would like to add regarding preparing businesses today to open tomorrow?
Well, Council President, if you wouldn't mind, we've been working pretty extensively with the city, and I know that Charity has been, I don't know when she sleeps. It would be, I think that your viewers and listeners would love to hear just some of the few things that the city is considering and where their head is as relates to providing assistance and ensuring that it's a great environment to reopen in. So maybe we could hear from Charity a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Charity. We're going to hear from Dr. Dean, and we're going to definitely hear from Charity. We are definitely going to hear from our sunshiny, smiling Charity. We are definitely going to hear from her. And so I just want to keep this going. I want to, Carla, was there anything you wanted to add before we hear from either of the two?
Just that I know that people are dealing with a lot of things with just life and the situations that we're in personally and professionally. But I do want to encourage the small businesses to reach out to your community, reach out to take advantage of the resources at the City of Detroit, and definitely look at any money that you have not taken advantage of that you have questions about. I know that the PPP loan still has more than $100 billion available right now, and there are many companies and 1099s, independent contractors, who have not applied for that money. That money is still available. It is, and it's I've never had a 1% loan in life ever. So I encourage people not to listen to the negativity around the PPP, that it really can be a lifeline and an opportunity to have resources to restart. So please look at those. And the SBA is available to help with questions, as is the City of Detroit.
Okay, all right. Thank you so very much for adding that. And the 1% is really good. And, I know it's always good to just be able to get that free money, but 1% is a really good loan interest rate. So thank you so much for adding that. Before we go to Charity, I just want to, again, thank you both for being here with us this afternoon. I'm very familiar with the phrase of time is money, and you are both CEOs, and I don't know what your hourly rate is, but I'm sure we can't afford it. I'm positive of that. And that's just an example of why you both are so successful in what you do. And we realize the value of helping others and doing so willingly. So I just want to say, we're going to hear from Charity, but I just want to say thank you to both of you. If you have to leave, and I understand if you're unable to stay for the second half. I truly understand. You are both very busy, even working from home. You're both very busy doing what you do. I'm going to hear from Charity, but first, before we hear from Charity, I'm going to ask Dr. Dunne if he's the medical director for the city of Detroit, and he has a presentation. I just want everyone to know about reopening your business, and he's going to share some things with us. So, Dr. Dunne, are you ready now?
Absolutely. Thank you, Council President. Just some brief slides. Let me get those onto the screen here. Hopefully everybody can see the slides.
We can see that slide.
Charity, can you let me? All right, thanks. I just want to talk just very briefly about how we're making work safer, a little bit based on some of the experiences we've had in the city and some of the things that our team worked on to put together the playbook that hopefully everyone has at least had some chance to look at. So I just wanted to start, one of the core jobs I've always done for the city for the last 5 years is working with the fire department, and the fire department obviously takes care of patients every day. So we're always thinking about infection control and that kind of safety. So if I just kind of look at the timeline, we have a baseline program. We train people on how to use personal protection equipment. But when this started to happen and when patients and people first started coming back to Detroit from overseas, we stayed really focused on that, kind of re-educated everyone, refocused on PPE, and did some education. That certainly wasn't perfect, but that was something we could do to make our own people a bit safer at work on top of our kind of typical training that we're doing. And as you can see, that ramped up very quickly, and everybody knows someone who got sick, and almost all of us know someone who passed away from COVID, including our captain, Franklin Williams, from the fire department. And when we look at this, we started doing things like medically monitoring, doing some directed testing as soon as tests became available. And we had our first firefighter test positive on the 26th of March, and they had been exposed on the 19th. We started tracking this. And at the same time, Mayor Duggan and the city of Detroit put together tremendous testing resources, including a rapid test that could be available for our first responders, as well as the testing that had started at the fairground. And this was really essential to keeping everybody safe. So as we kind of fast forward, all of our city departments have been doing testing, monitoring, follow-up, and using personal protective equipment. The governor came out with her executive order just over a week ago looking at what's it going to take to get people back to work. So we took some of our own experiences of keeping people back to work and getting our own city employees back to work. And we wanted to keep focusing on the 4 points from the governor's executive order, which was number one, those infection control practices, which is, again, something I think that is in healthcare people are familiar with and maybe weren't taking it seriously until this happened or until other outbreaks in the past have happened. The use of personal protective equipment, which is something that a lot of workplaces aren't particularly familiar with or are only familiar with certain things like masks or gloves, depending on what kind of work they do. And then what kind of steps each employee really we're expecting them to take if they get sick, right? This idea of getting into coming to work when we're sick is something we all have to get past. I think that people have learned a lot about this. But this is something that's a little bit of a culture shift in a lot of workplaces where there's this kind of culture of toughness. I'm going to go to work no matter how I feel, and sometimes some incentives that aren't really aligned well to do that. And then how to report those unsafe working conditions. So just to talk about that workforce protection, let's break that down into a couple of points. Hopefully for everyone to take home and maybe have some questions for them. One is baseline testing. We can't overemphasize the importance of testing in a situation like we have in Detroit and southeastern Michigan. We have a lot of disease and disease transmission in the community. Yes, it's gotten better every day recently. We have seen steady decrease in cases. We have seen fewer deaths. We have seen fewer people in the intensive care unit. But one of those things that we know is that people can have little or no symptoms and still have the disease. So really take advantage of the testing that's available at the state fairgrounds and some other places around the metro area to get tested. So we have some baseline testing. Many people know that there are some antibody tests which are kind of still getting confirmed in terms of how well they work. We've got 20,000 first responders going through some of those tests. It will help us learn even more about the disease in the community. But the one thing we'd like to be sure is that people aren't asymptomatic, not having any symptoms, no fever, no cough, and are positive for the disease and still a risk to others. We definitely have seen spread of the disease from people that didn't have any symptoms. The next piece of that is, okay, we've gotten our folks tested and we've got good programs to do that. We also want to see every day how people are feeling. So we want to do a couple of things. We want to screen people in our workplace settings, and this can be very simple. This is kind of asking people how they feel. Many places are using an app for this. A lot of contractors have had some. The city's built some apps for this to use on a smartphone. And that coupled with a temperature screening adds another layer of safety. Will that find every sick person? Certainly it won't. As we said, there are people who have no symptoms at all who actually have the disease and are spreading it to others. So we want to make sure that we're taking each step, and each of these steps are kind of additive. This is a form that we included with the playbook that has some simple questions that help to kind of sort out if someone is getting sick, particularly in those early phases when they just have some minor symptoms. The next thing is that workplace control piece, and as the council president talked about, that mask, and I do the same thing. I'm offering people masks if I see them without. I think that's one of the best ways to do that. It's non-confrontational. It's like, hey, can I get, let me give you a mask. And masks do a couple of things. Probably the most important thing that they do that people don't necessarily always understand is they help to protect others from us. What if we were sick, we're one of those people that are asymptomatic, got exposed somewhere, don't really know how we got the disease? Wearing that mask helps us from spreading droplets. That's really one of the most important things. In addition, it protects us from things that are out there, other people's droplets, if you will, but it's protecting others is really one of the essential things that mask does. Hand hygiene, keeping your hands clean, just like they told you and told all of us in preschool, that sometimes maybe we're not so good at. Maybe we're not so good at keeping our hands clean, is that hand hygiene is also essential. We know that one of the more common ways that the disease is spread is we touch something that someone else touched, who had touched their face or touched their nose, had a little snot on there, and they touched a surface, and then we touch that surface and touch our own face. We're not getting it through the skin of our hands, we're getting it by touching our face. So doing that hand hygiene and avoiding touching our face if we haven't cleaned our hands is something that we know will help stop the spread of any disease and is essential. It may be as much as 80% of the core prevention strategy in the workplace of preventing disease. And I think many workplaces, particularly food handling workplaces, are very focused on hand hygiene now. But some other places like, a bookstore or a record store or something else may not be in the same habit that a food service worker would be in. So that's a really good thing to focus on. Distancing, I think we've all heard a lot about that. modification of our space so people aren't right on top of each other, or some of the sneeze guards that you see. I love that term, that applies to that plexiglass that's up. A lot of us think about it, around salad bars or food bars, but that term of having something that actually protects some droplet spread around our workers can be really important in high traffic areas or places that people are working together. And these things all add together. It's not that any one of them is magic to help prevent disease spread, not just COVID, but many other diseases, but they work together to help reduce that transmission. When we think of our workforce protection, we want to think of how do we take care of those people that are sick? Because we don't want to forget about that. People are still going to get sick, maybe from COVID, maybe from something else. We want to check on those people. People can get sick quickly. We want to make sure that we're all taking a little responsibility for our fellow workers, designating someone to be the person that actually checks on that person who's home sick, see how they're doing, and help them get back to work when they're feeling better. And that's where also our testing and some of our health promotion strategies and the resources at our health department can really make a difference. And while I'm talking about the health department has a hotline that can answer a lot of questions about COVID, and in addition has an opportunity to report unsafe working conditions, which is one of the core pieces of the governor's executive order. So our hotline number is up there. We'll make sure everybody has that. That's the same hotline number we've been using for a while and has an extensive call center to take questions regarding COVID. So as we look into the future, what does it look like? Everyone likes to talk about the new normal, and that term I think can mean a lot of different things. But it's something that we relearn this lesson different times. We had a very serious flu pandemic about 10 years ago. We had the original SARS outbreak here in Metro Detroit. We recently had a measles outbreak. Every so often infectious diseases come to the surface. And I think that the COVID-19 crisis is really helping us to remember how dangerous simple infections can be. We all know people who were sick from COVID-19. We all know people who've gotten the flu or stomach viruses at work. A lot of that is preventable. We can't prevent it 100% of the time, but we can reduce it substantially. So that needs to be a focus for all of us. Again, it's been a focus in healthcare for a long time, but now it really needs to be something that we're all doing. I love the term resiliency. Dennis Archer mentioned that. I think we do have a very resilient community, and I think improving our focus and knowledge about infectious disease and what we call infection control helps to promote resiliency. So these are all kind of our new goals for a safer workplace, and we can measure our success in fewer infections and ultimately fewer of our friends, family, colleagues, customers dying. So I think as we look forward to the future, we're looking forward to a future that going from now into the, beyond what we can foresee, that we're going to stick with good techniques of infection prevention and infection control, because we may get a good handle on COVID over time, but there are always risks from new emerging infectious diseases. So let me stop sharing my screen here if I can.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so very much for that information. I'm still waiting to see what the future is going to really look like. So thank you so very much for that information. We're going to have questions for you after our final presentation, and everyone has been waiting for this wonderful, great director that we have at the City of Detroit, and that is none other than Charity Dean. And Charity is the director of the city's Civil Rights, Inclusion, and Opportunity Department. She's full of energy. She's full of smiles, but don't do the wrong thing, because she would definitely tell you when you're wrong, and she'll let you know. As they say, she'll check you real hard. So I truly appreciate Charity and everything that she does. And Charity, last week or a couple of weeks ago, the city released a guide to help small businesses reopen. This is a part of a larger initiative called Detroit Means Business. We just heard from Dr. Dunne, who talked to us about what the future looks like, and he really gave us some good information. Can you just talk to us about the city helping our small businesses prepare to reopen?
Yes, so first, thank you so much, Council President, for your kind words. I'm so excited to be here amongst leaders in the industry, my soror, Carla Walker-Miller, Dennis Archer, and of course, Dr. Dunne, who helped write that guidebook that you're talking about. So I actually have a presentation that I'd like to show now. This is probably gonna be my first time trying to do a share screen, so let's see if I can do this.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Correctly. Can you guys see, can you see my screen?
Screen hasn't come up yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Doctor, we thank you for your great presentation, and now we're getting ready to get another great presentation from our Civil Rights Inclusion and Opportunity. We see it now.
Cool, cool. Okay. So just really quick, is a lot of words. I'm not going to read all that, but this is what our department does. So we have a civil rights team that actually investigates complaints. We have a language access program, so we make sure the documents, things are translated. We've got an incentives team that's doing compliance to make sure Detroit-based businesses are being used, that Detroiters are hired on major projects. We have a construction outreach team that works closely with Council President with their skilled trades task force. And then we have our business opportunity team, which is the team that certifies Detroit-based businesses, minority-owned businesses, micro businesses, all of those. And they've been working on this COVID-19 response. And so we've done a lot of things since March. So we immediately started the carryout zones. We started doing e-blasts. We did e-trainings to teach small businesses how to do their own delivery and curbside. We launched Feeding the Front Lines Detroit, where we were able to have over 100 small restaurants in the city of Detroit feed our frontline workers. We launched our Digital Detroit program, helping small businesses get online. That cohort is almost ending, and we hope to do another cohort pretty soon, helping businesses get websites and e-commerce. We did a food rescue program, small business relief through TechTown and DGC. Helped folks get technical assistance for the PPP program. And the big thing is the Detroit Means Business. And this is definitely not just a city project. In fact, this is a coalition of probably 30 or 40 industry leaders in the nonprofit sector, corporate sector, coming together. And all we do is wake up and think about how we can help small businesses and what gaps are there and how we can close them. And it has been probably one of the most things that have brought me joy, I think, at least, in the last year or so, seeing so many people from so many sectors really care and work on a project very fast with impossible timelines, but everybody coming together to make sure that we're taking care of our Detroit businesses. And so this is what the website looks like right now. I think if you look at the website this evening or maybe tomorrow, it'll look a little bit different because we're always trying to add to the website. So there is the reopening playbook. And again, it was authored by Dr. Dunne and our team at the city, giving the guidance that he just laid out for small businesses. We also, through DTE Energy Foundation, launched free PPE for small businesses. And so as of yesterday, I think we had over 20, I have the exact number, I'll find the exact number, but we gave out close to 2,500 PPE kits to small businesses. And that's what it's about. We really want to make sure that we can get small businesses the things that they need, but then also help them to be able to do this on their own. And so small businesses were able to get PPE Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week, but now they can also go online to learn how to get it on their own. So there's a list of suppliers for small businesses to get that information on their own. This looks awful. I don't know why that screen looks like that, so we're gonna go back. But that was my last screen, but it basically talked about what you can find on this website. So there's financial resources, so there's information about loans and different financial resources, and we have a team that's working to add even more financial resources. So the launch of this website was not the end, it was truly the beginning of continuing to bring resources. So we have financial resources. Obviously, we have the reopening resources, the playbook. When you look on the website tonight or tomorrow, you're going to find additional resources for retail. So as you know, the governor's executive order allows retail to operate by appointment only. And so we put a special playbook for retail. In addition to the playbook for retail, it gives guidance on how you can schedule appointments. It gives guidance on how you can have markers in the store, make sure you have people 6 feet away from the cash register. But there are also signs, downloadable signs that you can just print off, so you don't have to think about making those types of signs. Those are little things, but they are another way that we're telling small business we care. So, and there are tons of downloadable signs. There are signs about how to wear masks, signs about keeping social distance. All of those are on the website. Also on the website today, if you go on DetroitMeansBusiness.org, a small business can get one-on-one counseling, and that's super important. Our friends at TechTown are leading the charge with a host of other organizations to make sure that we can get one-on-one counseling for small businesses. So maybe a small business is trying to think of, how do I really market in this new, in our new normal? Or how do I access PPE? There's nothing that I think is off limits. We've got, sales. You can get one-on-one counseling for sales, marketing, HR, legal resources. And that's just a partnership that came up through Michigan Community Resources and our team at TechTown. So tons of resources there. And again, we have a hotline now. So if you call this number that's on the Detroit Means Business website, you're going to get a live person, and that live person is a district business liaison who's going to help you connect. If you don't want to call, there's a form, and you can fill out that form, and then someone will get back to you. So I know we've gotten at least 1,300 requests already from the forum from launching this site. So there is a need for small businesses, and I think the biggest thing for us right now is just making sure people know that Detroit Means Business is there, and that we're working hard to make sure that if there are gaps, things that we're not thinking about, that they can let us know, and we'll get working on it. The other thing I'll say, and Council President, this at City Council on Tuesday, there was a resolution that was moved to Public Health and Safety for a public hearing on Monday. And, one of the things, and Council President, your staff has been amazing. And I know you guys have been working hard for businesses. I mean, Jasmine specifically and I talk on a very regular basis, and it's so needed. And we've been getting calls, and I know, Council President, you've been getting calls about, Dennis said maybe restaurants are going to be open next week, or how do we deal with, look at this, what this city is doing, and look at what this city is doing. And Detroit is unique, and we want to make sure that we have something in place. I don't know. I didn't get that text that Dennis got about restaurants being open, but maybe he's on a special thread. But we want to make sure that we're ready. In the same way that we got ready for retail, we're trying to get ready for restaurants when we get the order from the governor. So we are trying to move that. I don't have a lot of details yet because we're still having meetings with council people. And again, some of that's going to require some council action, but we really want to be ready, and we want small businesses to thrive because we need them. They are really, truly the backbone of this economy. And so, and just super excited about what we've been able to do, and we're going to continue. We got a long road ahead. We are just now getting in the thick of it. And so I'm here to answer questions, but just happy to be here. And I'm going to stop my share.
Thank you so much for that great information. And it's always good to know that you and your department are there, ready to do hands-on help for our small businesses. Again, prior to COVID-19 and right now, as small businesses are going through this, because we know that they have a lot of questions. We know this is new and people just don't know. And you guys are there to assist them. And I truly appreciate everything that you all are doing, everything your department is doing to assist our small businesses when they need help. I can also say that I'm looking forward to also seeing you, because you are another one that gives me that energy when I see you walk through the parking lot with those heels on, and you walking like it's not about anything. And I find myself dragging, but you still walking with them heels on at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you've been in them all day. I say, there she goes. There it is. There she goes. And hey, they don't have to worry about calling you a Miss America, because you know you're Miss America walking that parking lot. So thank you so much for everything that you do. We truly appreciate you as well. To our listeners, now you have the opportunity to ask the doctor, ask Ms. Dean any questions that you have for them. You can again press *9 on the phone. And if you have a question and you are watching live on Facebook and have had the opportunity to see the slides and have questions, and they were really some good slides that both of them presented to us, please ask your question. You can again press *9, or you can ask your question on Facebook. To my staff, do we have any questions from anyone?
Madam President, we have no hands raised right now. Once again, we would urge you to take advantage of the panel that we have available by pressing *9 to raise your hand so you can ask them a question. We've got small business, right? You do see a hand? There we go.
I see 945. The last 3 digits of the phone is 945.
Caller 945, you are unmuted.
Good afternoon. The last 3 digits of your phone number is 945. You are unmuted to ask your question.
Oh, thank you so much. How you doing? How's everybody doing? Hope everyone is doing fine. Can you hear me?
Blessed by the best. So I'm answering for them.
Can you hear me?
Blessed by the best. We are blessed to be here today. And thank you.
Okay. Great. Well, let me ask, I got a few questions. And comments. One, if Dennis Archer's on the phone, I just want to let him know I appreciate him continuously to think outside the box, to know that we do matter here in the community. And I appreciate him realizing that if someone can walk there, then they can get there. So I appreciate that. And I wanted to know, he said East Jefferson, between what 2 streets?
I'm sorry, ask that question again. Is there any deficit between what again?
No, I said the streets. He said East Jefferson. What are the streets are you talking about?
East Jefferson.
For the Myers, the new Myers.
Okay. Ms. Dean, do you have that exact street? I know exactly. It's right off of 75. If you come off of 75 and you go east, it is not very far. It's within a mile from 75. Do you have the exact street, Ms. Dean?
Council President, this is Stacy. I do believe it is between Riverd and St. Alban.
Okay.
On East Jefferson.
Okay, thank you so much. Now I have another question. This goes to Ms. Carla Walker-Miller. Thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do to shine light on things that was needed before a lot of us saw it to be needed. And my question to you, individuals who just graduated, do you for your business, do you hire ITs who graduated from like Focus Hope to start in your business as well? You know, they might not have a lot of college training, but they went to Focus Hope and had IT training and got certified. And I was just wondering, as far as that part of your business, do you have that type of internship, not just for the ones who went off to college, because you know college is not for everyone, but like you've been trained up by the finest, and it's always good to lend a hand. Because I do remember you on a television show where you indicated that you did have programs for that, but that was a while ago. I haven't heard anything recently, and I'm sorry about that, but I would like to have information on that also.
Okay, and she has just left. She was on for the first half, and she actually stayed on through the second half.
Okay, that's okay.
She's not on with us, but we can get that information for you. If you want to call my office and leave your number, and we will give her the information and have her call you regarding that.
Okay.
And my office number is 313-224-1245. Just leave a message. We're not there, but we're checking the messages quite often. And you leave, and we will have her call you back.
Okay, and I also want to hit on Miss Charity Dean. I know she's still there. She said she was going to stay to ask questions. And I appreciate her as well, because staying in the loop is very important. And sometimes when we get businesses, I don't have a business, but the way you was talking, I'm like, I need to start me a business, because if your entity can help from the ground up as far as that technology, it'll go a long way. And I do appreciate everything you're doing. I got two questions for you. One, do you have that hotline number? Because you got to understand sometimes individuals are not on the computer, but I was listening, but I didn't hear the hotline number. I would like that number if you're still on the air, and also the website, because I don't have neither one of those.
Hi, hey, how are you?
Good.
So the website is DetroitMeansBusiness.org. And excuse me, I think too many Zoom calls. And then my the phone number, the hotline for Detroit Means Business is 844-333-8249.
Okay, I appreciate that, because oftentimes, and thank you, President Brenda Jones, because every time I do try, you know who I am. I am a resident service coordinator. I work at Teresa Max's Apartments with seniors, and so I do try and chime in every time you come on, and I've let seniors know also about your programs. So I greatly appreciate that.
And we appreciate you as well. And
yeah, I miss Little, Miss Brenda Jones. I miss Little. I've contacted you plenty of times and talked with Miss Linda Wesley. So I really appreciate you. You all feel like that.
We appreciate you as well. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for having no problems with asking your questions. We truly appreciate you. And we appreciate what you do in the city of Detroit and around the city. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. And I was wondering, because I'm a old-fashioned gal a little bit, and a lot of times when I see businesses, I actually go up to them and give them information that I've heard, you know. So Miss Charity Dean, I was wondering if you could send me a basic flyer or someone, because what I do is I make flyers, because we have a lot of businesses here right around 6 Mile in Wyoming up and running, small businesses that I would like to give the information, but I don't have cars to pass out. But I can have something in a nutshell so I can also give that information to them. Because everywhere I go, I always been that type of person, just pass out information. So if I could just get something, then that'd be great.
We don't have any flyers right now, and I think probably because of COVID, everything is virtual. But I think if you give people that phone number, that'll be
okay.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you again. Thank you for calling. Do we have any
Thank
other
you.
callers? Thank you. Do we have any other callers or any additional questions on Facebook?
President, let's see. I don't have any hands raised in our Zoom room, Madam President.
Okay, what about on Facebook? Do we have any questions on Facebook? Do we have any questions on Facebook? I don't have anyone saying anything, so that must mean we have no questions, excuse me, on Facebook. So I'm going to ask the doctor, and I'm going to ask you also, Ms. Dean, do you have any final comments that either would like to leave?
No, just go to DetroitMeansBusiness.org. There are tons of resources for your business. And if you have any questions, call that number. We're here to help. Thank you, Council President, so much for having me.
Let me ask you a question, and I know that the kits, the PPE kits were given out to the small businesses, and I think there was a deadline date. Do you know if they are going to reopen that up or if there's any that are left?
So we had, I don't know if there's any left yet. I have a meeting later on tonight that'll let me know. But we are looking at, we're going to look at how many we have left and look at the demand. So I don't have an answer yet, but I should have something by the end of the week, Council President.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Doctor, did you have any final comments you would like to leave?
Well, I just wanted to say that in addition to any questions about the playbook, any other medical questions, that number that Charity gave out, we can certainly answer. We hope to be doing more education, and we want people's questions so we can keep building that. And I just want everyone to be safe and take care of themselves, and be sure to wash your hands.
I have my hand sanitizer right by me. I know one of the things that I've seen, Doctor, was they were saying how many times people literally put their hands in their face unknowingly. And I know Charity just put hers, but she at least put it above her head. But I know I'm constantly rubbing my face, scratching my nose, rubbing my eyes. I'm constantly doing that. And I find myself now becoming more aware of doing that. And so I always keep some hand sanitizer by me, no matter what. And I find myself just washing my hands with the hand sanitizer and then rubbing my eye or rubbing my nose. I find myself doing that all the time, just not even realizing what I do. And they were saying that on the average, most people might touch their face 20 times an hour unknowingly. So thank you so much for everything that you shared with us. Thank you so much for everything you have done and everything you've continued to do each day as we have been experiencing the coronavirus and COVID-19 in the city of Detroit. So I truly appreciate you and the work that you do as well. You have been outstanding and phenomenal. So thank you so very much.
Well, thank you. We couldn't do it without you, President Jones.
Thank you. I do see 945 has one final question. And then, because our panelist has been extremely patient with us today, and I know they have been extremely busy. So we're going to unmute you to ask your final question, 945.
No, that's okay. It was something just directed to you. And on behalf of the seniors here, we greatly appreciate you doing the Zoom call and having the same number. So we appreciate that. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, thank you for everything you do. And thank you for being here with us and tuning in with us and sharing information, because I know often people don't share the information the way they should share the information. And so we thank you. I again want to thank all of our panelists who have been with us this day, sharing information, and they have shared some good information with us. Ms. Dean and Doctor have been extremely patient with us today. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the work that you do. I truly appreciate you. Ms. Dean, when we call you, you are there to assist and you are there to help. Doctor, when we've called you, we had to get you on the line. You have been there to assist and you have been there to help as well. And so the city of Detroit is very fortunate to have both of you and helping us with the work that you both do each day. And so I truly appreciate you and your teams as you do what you do. I want to also thank my staff who work tirelessly to prepare our digital community and business engagement. I want to thank all of our small business owners, all of the entrepreneurs, and the others who have listened and who have watched. I truly believe that small businesses are the heart and the soul of Detroit. And that's why I work each day to ensure that Detroit government creates an environment where small businesses have opportunities to fulfill contracts, hire Detroiters, and to work on those contracts to increase our tax base and ultimately grow and expand their businesses. That is so important to me. To all of you who have spent this afternoon with us, I hope you consider this to have been a worthwhile investment in your business and in your time. Next Wednesday, which is June the 3rd at 5 p.m., Councilmember Ayers and I will be hosting another virtual Small Business Empowerment Fair. Representatives from the City of Detroit Office of Contracting and Procurement, Human Resources Department, and General Services Department will be present to talk about the City of Detroit contracting and hiring opportunities. You can also follow me on social media to get details on this and my other digital engagement meetings. You can join my email list at www.detroitmi.gov/Brenda Jones. And finally, I say to you, until the order is lifted, please stay home and stay safe. And even once the order is lifted, stay safe and stay smart. Wear your mask when you go out. Keep that hand sanitizer around you when you're out. When you're at home, wash your hands with warm water and soap. Until we meet again, and I think tomorrow is Friday at 9 a.m., I think we will be here for coffee and conversations. But until we meet again, enjoy the rest of your day. And if we don't see you or talk to you tomorrow, have a better weekend. And again, stay safe and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Bye-bye, and I am signing off. Again, thank you both.